Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. It's that time again. Porch Talk Radio. For you folks who are new to the experience, it is a conservative conversation. Maybe something like your grandmom and your granddad had back in the old days when they would sit on the porch and talk about anything, everything about the community. And we have a special guest here today. He's been on the show before, and out of all the elections that have happened in this election season, so you're talking about something that started 2 years ago, because some people start running for some of these things 2 years ago. And we have one election left. And one of the finalists for Tampa City Council is Jim Davison. He's been on this show before. He talked about what he's going to do for our community. And now we will have the opportunity one last time, because the election is Tuesday. And I'm going to throw my 2 cents in here as we start this process. The fact that he's here on WTMP, the fact that he has advertised and marketed, spent his money with WTMP and the Florida Sentinel, when for years and years and years we had a lot of candidates that took these black media for granted. I think this year it had to take, and I'm going to say this, and I know a lot of you guys are going to fall back in your seat, but it took the Republicans advertising on TMP and the Florida Sentinel to provoke the Democratic candidates to come out and do the same. Support the people, support the media that blindly has followed the Democrats for years and years and years, and they have blindly turned the eye to black media. And this year, the Republicans looked into the future, looking at crystal ball, and said, we got to spend some time over there. And they have. I asked the folks at the Florida Sentinel, I asked the administrators here at WTMP. They came, they brought their checkbooks, they opened them up, and they spent some money. And I'm just going to say, and some of you guys out there know that, this show, initially sponsored by the Hillsborough County Republican Executive Committee, Porch Talk Radio, embarrassed the Democrats and the Democratic Party here in Hillsborough County to actually spend some money for a show that came on directly after this. But they left. I mean, I think they came in because they said they needed to counter and make a point, and once the elections was over with, they made their point and they left. But again, we're still here making a difference. So without any further ado, I'm gonna give you the call-in line, call-in number for you to reach us, to get involved with the conversation. The number is 813-251-9867. 813-251-9867. I'm gonna ask my good friend Jim Davison to tell you what his plans are for the future, what his plans are for our community, because again, every councilman that makes a vote represent in his or her vote every citizen in the city of Tampa. So take that into consideration. Sometimes you can't vote for these people, but you can help them, because in the end, they will make votes that will affect you and your family every day. And with that being said, Welcome to Porch Talk Radio, Jim Davison.
Well, Eddie, I'd like to thank you and WTMP for having me back here on the porch. These are lawful, comfortable chairs, and the talk around here is important to do. And your last statements about the black community and the importance of the black community in the city of Tampa, and particularly in my district, District 7, and their role in this runoff election that's currently going on. You can early vote now at the North Tampa Library or at the New Tampa Library, and you can vote in the general election on December the 6th. It's an important election. This may be one of the most important elections that the local black community, all the communities, all the neighborhoods, not just the black community, make this year. You know, the presidential elections and the senators and the governors, they get all the attention. But it is your local councilman, your local commissioner, that you go see when you need your garbage picked up, when you need a code enforcement done, when you need to have jobs brought into the communities, when you want a speed bump put out in front of your house to protect your children as they play, to just renovate and help you meet the dreams and the ideals that all the communities and all the neighborhoods have. And I'm proud that you've invited me back here today, and I just wanted to share with your listeners, I had one of the greatest weeks of my life, in that I was so honored by your community and the leaders of your community, and by that I mean the editorial board for the Florida Sentinel. That will go down as one of the greatest honors of my life, to have their endorsement and to say that after looking at both candidates and knowing the communities and knowing what has to be done and knowing the issues, that they said the man for the job, the man to take our community to the next plateau, was Jim Davison. And I will always be honored, and I can promise you that every day I wake up as a councilman, as your councilman, that will be paramount in my mind. So there's just so many issues. You know the issues, Eddie. The people in your community know the issues. Affordable housing in the urban core, jobs, respect, education, all those things are all so within reach. And it's just going to take someone who is not afraid to say, wait a minute, this is not the way it's supposed to go. We are not getting our fair share. We are not getting our due respect. And I would urge your voters to go to the polls. When you sit there in that poll and you're all by yourself with that ballot in your hand, I want you to think about your community. I want you to think about your life. I want you to think about your families. And I want you to think about your future. And I want you to think about who the best person is to take this community to the next level, so that our neighborhoods are not being gentrified, so that when we see a man in blue, we don't have to be afraid, so that we can have jobs and come home and support and put food on the table and pay our rent and not have to worry about getting a bill in the mail. I've been there. I wasn't always a physician. I wasn't always a doctor. I was a laborer. I poured more concrete and worked on more construction than I care to remember. But I had dreams, and I had a family, and I chose to go a route where education was my way out. And that's what I want to do for the black community. I want them to be stabilized, just as some of the other communities in the city of Tampa have been stabilized. And I don't want them to be uprooted, whether it's putting transit through your neighborhood or a highway through your neighborhood, or the market changes and the prices of houses and the rent goes up in your neighborhood. Those are the things that I want to pay attention to, and those are the things that should be concerning the people of the black community. And Eddie, I'm so lucky to have a friend like yours, and I'm so glad that WTM
and push some stuff at you, because I went to one of your town hall meetings the other night, and I'm gonna tell you, folks, we need somebody, and I hate to say it like this, but you know it. We need somebody who's gonna fight for us down there. And I'm gonna say I saw this brother, but I don't mean brother because he's black. I mean brother because he's in the struggle. He's in the battle, and he was battling because he had like his opponent. Then he had Monteglione, who's the person giving up the seat, and then the mayor endorsed his opponent, but again, you know, that's a Democrat endorsing the Democrat, not because he's the better candidate, but because of the politics of the matter. And this guy stood up in that town hall meeting, and again, he didn't care who was there. He was battling for the right reasons, and that's what I'm going to tell you. And he could tell you more about the town hall meeting and the questions that he was getting, and he was getting set up. And he was still handling it. So go ahead and tell him about that, and then we'll take this next caller.
Well, you know, you'd really like to have these campaigns conducted just on the issues, but my opponent, he really doesn't have any new ideas. He doesn't have any new visions. Basically, his whole candidacy is to establish and maintain the status quo. And when the mayor came out and endorsed him, after some ruse that New Tampa was going to succeed from the rest of the city of Tampa, that was all plotted, that was all planned, and that was geared to get me to make me look divisive. But it hasn't been the talk of secession. Any leader, any physician knows that when someone is screaming and they want to change, there's a problem. And any good politician would go out and find out, why do you want to succeed? What is it that we're doing that you don't want to stay with us? Because we're not getting our fair share in taxes. We're not getting our fair share in transportation improvements. We're not getting our fair share in neighborhood recreation centers for our kids. Our streets are not being taken care of properly. Does that sound familiar to the black community? Of course it does.
Yeah. I say yes. Yes, it sounds familiar to me.
and the bottom line is that they tried to make me out to be the divisive candidate, but by going there and when you don't have an issue to run on, when your only issue is I want to maintain the status quo, you have to kind of slide these things in there. And the real divisiveness is some of the policies that have existed for years here and have disrupted the neighborhoods in the city of Tampa, gentrified the neighborhoods in the city of Tampa, and have caused destabilization of families and jobs and entire communities, particularly the black community. And that's what I was standing up for. I have been a uniter in my community of New Tampa for 20 years, and I was the one that had all of the community neighborhoods sign on to make me their representative. Bob Buckhorn, when he was a councilman, voted for me to be their representative on a transportation committee. That doesn't really sound divisive. If divisive means not standing up for your neighborhood, or standing up for your neighborhood, if being divisive means saying no when something unjust is being done to the people in the community and your neighbors, then let me be divisive. But I will not stand by. I can't stand by and allow the policies and some of the things that have gone down in the city of Tampa to pass without being questioned. And that's all I'm asking. I want to be your fighter downtown for your neighborhoods.
And I heard, and again, I actually get out and go to town hall meetings and different meeting among people making decisions for everybody, not just the people who happen to show up at the event. They're making decisions for everybody. And I saw half of those people in the room were trained people. They say transportation, but I specifically asked them, do you mean train or do you mean transportation? They always say transportation, but they always mean train. I'm waiting for one to not mean train. I'm talking about real transportation. Okay, we got a ferry that's happening, we got some road improvements, but by the time they get to the backside of the statement, there's a train there. There's some railroad tracks there. Somehow, somewhere, it always ends up at a train. And we all know that is a code word because all the railroad tracks come through our communities.
That's right.
But somehow, some way, there's no hubs in our community. You know, if they're going to go from USF to downtown, most of it through our community, they ain't going to be doing a lot of stops. See, I'm talking about, around most hubs, and I'm an architect, so I understand urban design, they build the infrastructure. They build these big old malls, holding area, places for people to do business, and then the train comes through. That's how they normally do it. So if they was planning on stopping in our communities with some of these train things, you know, it would be different because it would mean urban development within our community. But they're going to pass through. I'm telling you right now. They may pick up people at USF. They're going to let them out downtown. They may pick them up downtown. They're going to let them out either at the airport or they're going to take them all the way down to MacDill. You see what I'm saying? It's not going to be a whole bunch of stopping in between because what's in between? Us. We. So again, Jim understands, and that's one of the reasons I'm supporting Jim. That's one of the reasons he's here. That's one of the reasons he has done the one thing that tells me more than anybody else. Because not that I'm starving, but our community is. And if you can say I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, but you don't show up at TMP, and you don't show up at the Florida Sentinel with your dollars, I'm just telling you, it's more rhetoric, it's more talk. And this man has put his money where everybody else's mouth has been. So again, Jim, go ahead and give us some closing remarks, whatever you want people to be left with, because the election is on Tuesday. And if you got a website, you got a phone number, you need some volunteers, some people to hold some signs, whatever you need, go ahead and give it to them right now.
Well, I think that this election comes down to a very simple thing. There is a man who represents a continuation of all those policies that many communities in the city of Tampa have come to find out are not in their best interest. He is the status quo. That is Mr. Vieira. There is no greater example than I can give the people listening that of the 6 candidates who were in the race, the 4 that did not make it, 2 of those 4 candidates, Avis Harrison and Cyril Spiro, endorsed me. There were 3 members of one party in this race. Those 2 candidates, one of those candidates went on and is my opponent. The 2 people that were in that candidate that were in the same party would not endorse that candidate. You have 2 newspapers in this town that really find the pulse of their communities. The Florida Sentinel in the black community and La Gaceta in the Hispanic community. As again I was saying, I will never forget the day that I got the endorsement from the Florida Sentinel. I'm also endorsed by La Gaceta, the newspapers closest to their communities. And that's where this election is going. You can vote for me in the future and someone who will fight to change the status quo, or you can vote for my opponent, the one that the mayor wants on board so that he can control the board. And again, if you would like to learn more about my cam, it's very simple. You can just go to votejimdavison.com, my website, my Facebook, my Twitter pages, and you can find out almost all the information about me you want. Again, do not stay home. Get up off the couch, vote for yourself, vote for your family, vote for your future, and vote for your community, and vote for Jim Davison this Tuesday to bring the changes that are so sorely needed in our communities.
2 of them worked for the 2 black senators. So everybody else, nobody else thought it was okay to have a black chief of staff, head administrator in their office that looked like us, even though if you look at the country, everybody keeps saying that's some kind of a goal or something, and then they're talking about Kathy Castle. Well, let me tell you something that a lot of you guys don't know, because to run for Kathy Castor's slot, all you got to do is be a resident of the state of Florida and be over 25 years of age. That's the requirement. That slot pays $175,000 a year. It has a $100,000 expense account. It has a $1 million plus allotment for staff. So, again, she hasn't been primary in 10 years. And again, let me tell you something else you may or may not know. This congressional district is gerrymandered to be black. I'm telling you, it's 5 of them in the state of Florida. They challenged them again this election cycle. Corrine Brown sued the state of Florida in 2000, and then they got challenged again in 2010. And we still have a congressional district here that's designed to have 39% of the voters be black. So tell me why you won't vote in your own best interest. You can't find one black Democrat in the state of Florida that will primary a person that's in a slot that hasn't been challenged. She don't even show up to stuff within the community because she don't have to. And I'm not saying this in a bad light, but I'm saying, why would you send a representative to a slot that can be represented by somebody that actually looks like you, thinks like you, feels like you, came from where you came from? I'm just saying, that's just me. I think differently. I'm a black Republican. I think a little different, and some take that as good, some take that as bad. But I'm just throwing it out there. So next time you start looking for candidates to run for slots that actually represent you, I don't think you need to be representing, trying to find somebody that's going to hire a black chief of staff, a black administrator within your thing. Let the person making the selection be black. Then you can hold them accountable for not hiring no black folks. You see what I'm saying? That's how that works in my head. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there and let my sister comment on it. And we got a couple more things like Nancy Pelosi and McDonald's and some of this other foolishness to talk about. Welcome, honey.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being here, and I definitely appreciate listening to Jim Davis. I've been following his platform, and I'm very, very supportive and hoping that the people in that district will get out to vote. We are talking about having the need to have change makers at the top of the ticket right now that can sit on inside of that district, see what the needs are for the entire community, and do not exclude people. And that has been one of the biggest problems in the district in which Kathy Castor represent. I have a serious problem. I try to take all the personal out of it. Somebody say, well, you're making an attack. No, I'm looking at the community. I make an assessment based on what I see, and then I have to measure based on your leadership. How has your leadership helped in the progression of our people? People want to talk about a seamless America, and in this city, people talk about the next great city. Well, I can clearly point out where East Temple is. I know where Sulphur Springs stopped and started. You know what I'm saying? Suitcase City. I know what that community needs, but yet the leadership seems to be able to maneuver themselves in such a way in that these communities and folks are being left out all the time. Yes. And so Jim Davis, having him elected to that position, District 7, having Frank Reddick where he's at representing District 5, and then having new leadership at the top on the congressional side. I mean, we have to be mature enough to say that if total same water has not produced a sea change for the majority of people that's supposed to be represented by that district, then something is wrong. Kathy Castor has been able, in my opinion, run off the legacy of the past. She has had inside of our community, and now this is me talking, gatekeepers, people that has been there as a protectionist for her without accountability. So what we see happening in the black community, that a few people are being taken care of. So if you're tied tightly to her ankle, then maybe your pet projects might get funded. Maybe somehow members of your family might become employable. But the masses of the 39% of the people in the African community is still dependent upon food stamps, welfare, some type of subsidized housing, because we have not had leadership that has the vision to say, how will we transform these communities that people can be employable, have a sense of pride. You know, when I was a child, which has just only been, you know, a few
couple weeks ago. Yeah, we understand. We understand.
You're looking good.
Yeah, we understand.
Okay. You know, I remember people getting up early in the morning. You could hear the buses, you could hear cars cranking at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. Whether the men was headed to the dock, to the port to work,
right,
or the women headed out to the seafood factory to work. We had real viable employment in our community, and now you don't see that. From generation to generation, we have seen people just have walked away from the process of rejection, because those type of jobs, of course, no longer exist, and the lack of vision from our political leaders to bring back those entities inside of our communities that would help our community become employable again.
All right, sister, we got a call. We got a call on the line. Caller, welcome to Porch Talk Radio on this fine Saturday afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you. This is Avis Harrison. And nice to meet you, Eddie, the other night at the town hall meeting. Hello, Jim.
Hi, Iris. How you doing?
Hi. I just want to say that to the listeners that me and Jim fought hard on the campaign trail. We were in this election together, and I actually thought that it was going to be he and I in this runoff. I want to say to you all that he's a candidate that cares, and he came up to me after the runoff, the election was over, not for an endorsement, but to tell me that he wanted to hear my issues and my concerns and what the voters were telling me, so that he could put that toward his platform. And that really, really impressed me. Jim is willing to hold town hall meetings in all parts of the district, including the minority areas, along with me. He even asked me to attend them with him.
When is the election?
And he knows I'm very concerned.
Your advertisement says November the 8th.
I'm an independent. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent. I look at the person who will do the best for the seat that needs to be held. And I encourage all of you all to do the same. We need to look at the person and what they can do for us. And on this instance, it's Jim Davison.
God bless you, Avis.
And let me say something to you, young lady. I met her the other night at the town hall meeting, and I'm going to tell you something right flat out. We need young black folks involved in the political process. Everybody that's there, that's getting elected and making stuff happen, is old and gray haired like I am. We're the generation that's going out. We gotta encourage young folks like her to get involved in this process, because her and even younger people involved, because again, there is no middle ground. You either got really, really old folks, or you got a couple of young folks to come in, and nobody's encouraging them people. I'm encouraging you. You got a great future ahead of you in politics in this community, and don't limit yourself to just this local stuff. Hell, you could be Kathy Castor here in another cycle or so. Again, we just need somebody to stand up and run. And for those 39% black folks who happen to be black Democrats, and if you get a couple of Republicans on the side to help you out, you could be sitting in that seat. And I'm not just speaking to her, I'm speaking to every young black male and female out there. Don't let these old folks tell you you can't do stuff. Jump out there and do it. Show them you can do it.
Well, thank you. And everyone, please go out and vote. Cast your absentee ballot if you haven't done it. We need Jim Davison in the office to help us. Our minority areas in the district are really hurting, and we need a voice. We need a fighter.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you. Jim, you want to reply?
I can tell you right now, the world has not heard the last of Avis Harrison. Okay. She's a fighter, and she is a protector of her community, as are many of the Yak Blanc leaders. Orlando Goods, who was in the race also, is another one. And you can sit well at home knowing that there are people like that who are going to be willing to stand up and defend the community. And I hope to have them join me after I'm elected to connect me. I don't want to have to come visit the community. I want to become a part of the black community.
And I don't want
That's how it's supposed to be.
I don't want to put you on the spot here, Jim, but part of the conversation that we had earlier about black folks being involved with the process, and I know you're going to have some staffers, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there. Hopefully you find some member of the black community to make part of your staff.
Yeah, I'll tell you something about the staffing for a city councilman. Is that's dependent on the whim of the mayor to a great extent.
Okay.
That he just doesn't get to pick anyone he wants. The mayor has the final say. But I can assure you that I want to include all of the neighborhoods on my staff down at City Hall, because we have a very diversified, a very cosmopolitan district, and I'm not going to leave anybody out. And that's the way it should be.
And I think that's excellent, because I'm going to tell you something right now. And I'm saying this to the mayor and anybody else in this community, this county that's elected, that if somebody give you a battle about selecting any black person as your staff, they're going to have a world of hurt on their front door. Because I'm gonna speak for my sister. Between me and my sister sitting over here across from me, we'll be down protesting in front of City Hall every day for a whole month until y'all get something done. Because you know that's the worst thing to do, for find some reason how somebody couldn't be elected and select their own people. So I'm just telling you right now. So again,
I'll be right there with you, Eddie.
All right. So Sister Connie, the Democrats, after losing over 1,200 seats
badly
with Nancy Pelosi at their leadership, you know, at the top of their leadership as a party, re-elected, or should I say re-selected her, and I'm telling you, as a Republican, I was jumping up and down. I'm gonna tell you, I was like shouting, throwing my hands up. My brother here with his Obama hat on gave me the eye, but I'm just saying, Ellie's in the room, and he's the only Democrat in here, so he gave me that eye. But I'm just saying, I was jumping up and down. I was happy because a bad selection on the other side is a good selection for us. So I'm gonna just go ahead and throw that out there, sister.
Well, let me just say, I am a registered Democrat, but I am critical of the party. And it's because it's based off of teachings, you know, from my grandmother. If you can't accept criticism, you can't learn. And if you lost that badly under that leadership, then you're not learning something. It seemed to me that the people spoke loudly and clear. We have to accept the winner of this contest, because that's what it is. It's a contest of ideas. Hopefully, the people will stay focused on the way in which the country will move. But in speaking to the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party has taken for granted, in my opinion, for a very, very long time, its constituents base. By that, i.e. the black community. And so we saw that even with President Obama. And I understood and understand the sentiments that people have and had with having our first African president. Might not see that in a lifetime again. But the fact that we was unwilling to push, and it is the same way under, you know, Nancy leadership, the unwillingness to push the party to work in behalf of its constituents. And so that running away from your base, then you didn't find your base running to you to help and support and defeat the Republican Party. So I believe that they're in trouble for a very, very long time until there's a willingness to do some major house cleaning within inside of the party. Back to Ava Harris, I was very impressed with her. I hope, like you, Eddie, she stick around. I hope that we find young people that is courageous enough. Don't worry about all of the money that you have to have, but get connected to the people. Let the people know that you have an interest in representing their issues, And who knows, within the next 2 years, maybe we might be saying Congressman Harris as opposed to what we have. Because if we start doing a measurement of success, and we say that under the leadership of Kathy Castor, how have this ball moved forward in terms of the high unemployment that we have in our community, the gentrification that we continue to see in our community, the great concern of hopelessness that exists in our community, we simply can't say that she's the only and the best representative for our area.
And let me throw my 2 cents into that, because part of this process, I'm gonna tell you how this process is supposed to work. You get people elected to the Senate, get elected to Congress, get elected to all these state positions and stuff, and what they supposed to do is reach back, take the hand of some younger person, particularly from the community that they represent, and teach them and let them follow them around and learn the system. I am yet to see people in this community actually do that. That's why we don't have any young, electable black folks in the system, in the chain, coming through the process. I mean, I'm looking every day, because I know I'm old and gray-haired, and that I need some confident young person to help me and to come along and make some stuff different. So what I've been doing for the last probably 15, 20 years is find some black male between 25 and 45 and plugging them into some of these systems that I'm already involved in. I let them come to the meetings with me, and let them follow me, the ones where they can join. I've been doing that, So if we take 100, and I picked that number for a reason, because 100 black men is out there, and if each one of them took 4, now we got 400 in the process, in the system. And that's the way it's supposed to work. But again, and I'm primarily right now talking to black males, you need to do your job.
Well, the way the elections and political leaders work in our community is almost like a sad musical chair. If it's not the preacher, it's the teachers. It's the preachers or the teachers, because in our community, that is seen as the most, successful group. And so young entrepreneurs that has not been able to fit into that mold is sometimes deemed the outsider.
Right.
And so what we have to do is encourage young people with creative thinking to step forward, to just say, hey, give it your best shot. And we have to also make some harsh criticism. That if all we've had was the preachers and the teachers that led our community, then give an accounting as to why our community is in such dire strait. Then you have to answer to that. That we shouldn't be able to say because you was a city council, you were able to go from the city council to the city, from the city to the school board, right? And we play this musical chair, and our children can't read. Then we don't have no economic development in our community, and on and on. So accountability has to be to the voter, and also to the process of selecting the best possible candidate to represent our community. So I agree 100%.
And see, my compass, my weather vane that points me in the right direction is I get a feeling, I get a gut feeling, and I could tell you in 10 minutes or 20 minutes whether we've been con. See, and that's the problem is, every con game on the planet end up in our community.
Yes.
Everyone. We're not protected by any of those. So again, people, I guess somewhere over there in China, and people in India and Asia and Pakistan, wherever they come from, first thing they do when they get here, they come to the black community. They set up shop. And what they do, and I'm just real straightforward with this, they take money and resources out of our community, they go other places, and it never comes back. So that's like somebody put a big sucking sound in the middle of our community, and that's money and resources being fear that's fighting the battle that need to be fought for. So again, that's why I'm looking at Jim. I'm sitting here in the studio, I'm looking at Jim, because that's happening. And we need somebody that's going to go up there and fight the battle that needs to be fought for our community. And we got somebody up there that's fighting it. I mean, Frank is fighting it, but it's 6 against 1.
Yes.
So it's about making the odds better for us as a community.
And all of them are Democrats.
And all of them are Democrats.
All of them are Democrats, and that's a problem in itself. But in terms of creative thinking, I am encouraged because if you just go out inside of the community and you listen to some of these young change makers, they have great creative ideas. What they lack is the fundamentals, how to make it go from an idea into actuality, into something real. And because that absence of somebody helping to groom them, this is the stagnation. But what we see happening all over the world now is young people, whether it's through the Dream Defenders, Black Lives Matter, whether do you hear it in progressive lyrics, Black people know that they have to take their rightful place in society. Obama, 43 years old, right, when he was elected as president of the United States. I'm always encouraged by Dr. King. He was a 26-year-old man when he chose his ministry. Huey P. Newton, Fred Hampton, some of my greatest heroes, Malcolm X, those was all young men. They took leadership posts. And so we have to encourage our young people that the possibility exists. Don't be afraid. Forget the criticism that some of our elders, because they don't want to step aside and they don't want to move out the way, we're going to have to give them that gentle push.
Nudge.
Based on
nudge with your foot, nudge them with your feet.
based on our reality. These are our realities right now, and you need to just simply get out the way.
All right, let me bring something else up here that I was going to talk about, because as a people, we have to understand how the system works. If the job that you are doing required $15 an hour to do it, you would be making $15 an hour. Trust me, they got nurses, they got welders, they got millions of different occupations that require that. And guess what? Those people get required it. But to sell hamburgers, do French fries, mopping, those are not career opportunities. I'm just telling you. Those are starter jobs. And for you to think somehow you are being put out because your job pays you less than $15, I'm going to tell you what happened. McDonald's, national organization. Now I'm telling you, if you go to the McDonald's right there on 7th Avenue, Broadway, and 50th Street, they got kiosks in there. I'm telling you, right here in Tampa. And McDonald's, in a response, the folks out there in San Francisco who decided, and San Francisco passed the minimum wage law, and everybody from I guess if you do the pickup trash sweeper thing all the way to folks who actually deserve it, nurses and doctors and everybody else, the minimum wage is $15 an hour. So big corporation, meaning nasty folks at McDonald's created a machine. Guess what? They talked themselves out of a job. Because if your job don't cost and repay a corporation that size in return, because they're looking at every dollar they spend and where it go, how it go. I mean, they control everything from that potato, tomato, whatever in the field, to the cows, to the people. I mean, they produce it all, and they know how what it all costs them. Guess what? That worker pushing that button with the pictures of the fries on the cash register and the pictures of the soft drink on the cash register, that person didn't earn $15 an hour. So what they did, they bought the machine. They created a machine, and they put that machine out there, and guess what? They're going to save money. They're going to save money. Because not only did they get to fire those people who wasn't worth $15 an hour, they're going to become more efficient, because that machine going to take your order and send it to another machine that's going to process your order, and all that person that's there got to do is hand it to you. So again, you talk yourself out of job. You got to understand how this thing works. I remember when I was a kid, my granddaddy told me about people who said they were going to pick cotton for their whole life. Picking cotton went away a long time ago. So those people who are going to have a career in picking cotton, or picking fruit, or picking anything, those things like that, you got to look at what's ahead of you. The future is bleak for folks doing manual labor. And even if you don't get a skill, I'm gonna tell you what's gonna be around forever. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna be around forever. Doctors gonna be around forever. People braiding and cutting black folks' hair gonna be around forever. So that's a pretty extreme set of examples to give you, but I'm gonna tell you, you gotta look at it and have some common sense about it, because if you think people are gonna pay you for something that it becomes more cheaper to create a machine to do, that machine gonna take your job from you.
Well, no doubt, capitalism is a wild beast.
Yes, it is.
Okay? And the capitalists always want to know how all of the money is going to stay in their pockets and the workers get very little. The fact of the matter is, people have to have the means to be able to take care of their basic human needs.
Yes.
I mean, rent has to be paid.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't find an apartment in the city of Tampa that's under almost $800 a month. And so either we're going to have to make some adjustment inside of the system where people have decent living wages, or we say to the capitalists that you're not going to be allowed to raise those rents. Because I'm living in a subsidized apartment. And because it's a free open market, they charging the government, because I'm not paying anything. The government pays for me to live in an apartment $875 a month with no amenities, and we have broken sewer lines all over the property. Well, I can't hold a property manager accountable, because if I make too much noise, he might evict me. So the government is study funneling that.
Yes.
So we have to have checks and balances in place so people will be able to have decent wages. We're getting ready to have, I think tomorrow, the Declaration of Human Rights, which this nation here is still a member of, right?
Yes.
Well, in the Declaration it says that this United States signed on to that we're supposed to have the ability to have a good quality of life, that nothing should bar our ability from doing that. But we do have laws in place that keep us from doing it. Because if you get caught up down here at 801 Twig Street at the county courthouse, and I might be a good worker, but a law has been put in place that say, oh, but if you're a felon, now you're a slave of the state. That's what it says. Yeah. We're going to have to make all of those adjustments if we want balance and fairness, because I can tell you this, they can hire kiosks all they want to, but we're not going to simply just go away and allow ourselves to suffer peacefully while we see the Kardashians and all those that have aspiration to be in them have a good life, and we don't have a good quality of life. We can't have an America like that no more. Those days are over with.
And see, that's part of the solution is make good decisions about which jobs you attack. Because again, for them to say $15 an hour, and there's a whole middle range of opportunities and stuff that came out. So if you attack McDonald's, that's kind of like attacking the Donald Duck.
Let me ask you this: why is the president of USF almost making
$750,000 a year?
And you got college the professors that's making less than $25,000.
Yes.
That's not a balance there. But some of those professors was part of the 15 crop for 15. You know why? Because they are now finding themselves dependent upon food stamps.
Yes.
They're dependent upon social services to live. And so we have to just be honest. What type of world do we want all of us to be able to live in? You know, that if you think the $15 because I'm doing a hamburger is too outrageous, I think $700,000 and $750,000 that she's receiving is outrageous. I think the money Jerome Ryan's for being over ghetto housing is too much of money. And so we're going to have a balance there that don't look down because I'm crying for 15. I demand to have a good quality wage too.
Yeah, that brings up, that almost feeds into this election, and the soul of this election is how do you empower a community?
Right.
You were there, Lewis, when, Eddie, when Lewis brought, who is better to run that CRA? The community from which the funds are taken out from,
right,
or somebody downtown? The way it's set up right now, the people downtown are going to be taking your money and telling you the best way for you to spend it.
in your community.
In your community.
Oh, that's what's happening now.
That's what I'm talking about, a change and a vision. Why does the USF, and they're going to be on $1 billion building, why do they have to go beyond the confines of many of the communities that surround USF to assist and to share in that building?
That's right.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's just someone that has to get in there and get it started. Mark Sharp is doing a good idea with Innovation Alliance. That hooked into a CRA that's run by the community. That's what has to change. And so that's why I'm running, because I see things that, many ways in the way you see things. We may have different ways of getting there, but we're all going to the same place. And so my opponent wants to have the status quo, and that's why I have the passion that you two have the passion, that many people in your community have the passion to get the change done, whether it's in your party, whether it's in my party, or whether it's in the city of Tampa or the District 7, and that's why I'm running.
All right. Well, we coming close to the end of the show, but one thing I want to throw out there about USF and Judy Gunchef and the $750,000 a year salary with bonuses and all the other consideration that goes like that. They're gonna have to get off their butt, and they're gonna have to get involved with the community that surrounds them, because University of South Florida, be it what it is, they spend close to $1 billion every year in some shape, form, or fashion. And with the vendors and the folks they deal with, they spend less than the city does. And the city spends less than 2% of all their money with black businesses and black folks. And the University of South Florida is currently doing a worse job than that. So again, we're going to have to make sure that we hold all these people accountable. And it's up to us as a community to hold these people accountable. So we can't jump on the city, and I'm going to give you a couple of good examples. The Aviation Authority is doing a good job with making sure black folks get some of those $5 billion that they're spending. But we got to hold the Port Authority, and we got to hold some of these other institutions responsible the same way. Because again, if we let them get away with it, if we let them tell, Judy Gunchef how great she is, and reward her with all these additional cash dollars, and we don't say you need to be more involved with the community, you need to make that university end up down on 22nd and Lake sometimes, somebody to see what's happening there and see how you can do your input, we ain't gonna let you get away with it no more. So anyway, closing remarks, both of you guys, and then we gotta go.
Well, thank you for being here, Eddie, and definitely for your leadership. But I believe accountability across the board from everybody. But instead of starting at the bottom, I want to start at the top now. And I believe Jim Davis is the person to help us get there.
All right, Jim.
God bless you. And that's the whole issue, is empowerment to the communities, bringing the funds back from downtown to invest in our communities and our neighborhoods so that they can reach the potential that the God-given talents have given them. And so that's what I'm about, and with your help, and I have to thank WTMP for allowing me this time today, and above all, I have to tell you again how honored I was, and thank everyone over at the Florida Sentinel for their endorsement in this campaign.
All right, with that being said, we'll see you again next week, 1 o'clock, Porch Talk Radio.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Willie Lawson. I'm the founder of Fight Back Media Group, and I trust that you are having a fantastic Saturday. And I just got back from the Porch Talk Radio program that's broadcast on 1150 WTMP here in Tampa. I believe that the that the Porch Talk Radio program is a great idea in advancing the cause of community infusion. Providing a conservative viewpoint to the urban community, and I think that Eddie is doing a great job, and I'd like to, as the founder of Fight Back, participate in keeping Porch Talk Radio on the air here in Tampa, and as one of the sponsors, as one of the feature sponsors actually. But in order to do that, we're going to need your help, because you know what, if I could do it all out of my pocket, I promise you it would have already been done. So it's a great thing for Fight Back Media to participate in. Sewing is very important, and encouraging people who are doing the job already is also very important. It's important to our mission, and it's important to the mission of saving urban America and crushing the destructive and dangerous narrative of the left in urban America. So if you'd like to help out, all you have to do is go to fightbackmedia.com and click on the donate button next to my picture. And if you click on the PayPal button, that's right to the right, the yellow PayPal button, and donate $150, you'll get a sweatshirt and you'll get a Fightback Media T-shirt for your donation. So we could use your help, and we could use your help today. The idea is not to wait. You know, I know the holidays are coming up, and I really didn't want to do a lot of fundraising in December, but we didn't reach our October goals, and we were able to get through November thanks to the benevolence of my wife, frankly, and now we need to prepare for the new year. And there's no time to prepare better than right now. So go to www.fightbackmedia.com, click the donate button or click the yellow PayPal button, and donate. We appreciate you and what you've done and what you continue to do. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something.